this idea clear? So you never skip over this special product if these two are perfect squares. Cover it up and say, okay, I expect this. But don't assume it's correct before you check the middle term of this expansion, because I haven't looked at it. I haven't calculated anything here. So by simply looking at the first and the last, I may or may not get the correct answer. But when I determine the middle term of the expansion and I compare and I see that they are the same, then this is indeed correct. Good. Okay. Fact that the difference of squares completely. Yes, we can do this if you want. Let me know. It's a little bit of an overkill in my opinion. Okay, this is the sum of cubes. So this is an important type of problem. So 128x cubed plus 686y cubed. I replaced with x and y. Okay. So this can only be a sum of cubes. If I say a sum of cubes, then I have to find a binomial times a trinomial, remember. And my next step must be the sequence of signs. If the binomial has plus, the binomial will have plus, but the trinomial will have minus in the middle. And the last one, we never discuss it. It's always positive. But now I need to determine which term cubed is 128 cubed. So here's how I determine that. I simply go to the calculator and I take the cube root. And you can say, wait a minute, you haven't taught us the cube root. That's true, I agree. It's coming up in the last section, in the last 7 and 8, basically in module 8. Okay, so here's what I do. I go to math, and right here, number 4 is the cube root. The index is 3. So 4, I call 4, and I put 128 underneath. And yes, because I didn't take my own advice. First, I have to factor out the greatest common factor. If I don't, I will not get anywhere. Sorry. So 128 and 686 have a common factor. So let's see, first of all, 2, and I get 64x to the third, and plus 343y cubed. I jumped ahead without going through the strategy, and I shot myself in the foot. I didn't mean to do that, but it's a perfect example of what not to do. So first I have to go through my strategy. The strategy says descending order, yes. Greatest common factor, the answer is yes. If I don't factor this out, I will not be able to continue. And now I know the answer, because I know that 4 to the third is 64. So this must be 4x. I may not know what this is, which is fine. Then I will apply the cube root on that. So let's do that. So the cube root, you can just recall it now because it's there, and just put 343. And we get 7. So then the other side, the other term is 7y. Now this is very easy because it has a pattern. This squared, and this product. Without the 2. The 2 is from a different formula. But of course I have to have the 2 in front. This is an integral part of the whole thing. It's a factor, it has to be there. So the correct factor form of this is all this. 2, quantity 4x plus 7y, quantity 16x squared minus 28xy plus 49y squared. That's what happens when I don't follow my own strategy, step by step. I would have said, oh, it's not factorable. So that was an error. So always say descending order, greatest common factor, yes. Negative leading coefficient, no. So now I can continue as the sum of cubes. Okay, the same thing. We did this together. Same thing. Yeah, we can work on this one. So here we have v to the fourth, w to the third, plus 216 w to the third. Okay. Okay, this is the same. It's much easier. Okay, we know how to factor this. First we factor a -1, and then it's a difference of squares. Okay, we'll come back to that. I know we have 3 minutes left. Okay. Yes, greatest common factor. I have to remove w to the third. And I think there was a v. I'm sure there was a v in here that I didn't copy. So v times w to the third. So v to the third. V to the third, w to the third. It has to have the sum of cubes. I didn't copy it correctly, so it was just v indeed. Okay, so we find the greatest common factor as v w to the third. So then we have v to the third plus 216, with it, which is again the sum of cubes. But we have to find what I cube to get to 16. So vw to the third, the binomial, and the trinomial. The sequence of signs. Again, the same sequence of signs. Positive, always positive, if the same sign, and then minus. Okay, so now I go back to the calculator and take the cube root of 216. So when I take the cube root of 216, let's see what we get. And we get 6. Okay. So then I have the v and the 6. The rest is very easy. I square this, and I multiply them.